Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the assignment for week 4. Let me share my screen real fast. Okay, so this is what you should see in Moodle. For week 4, we have this required files folder, and you're going to want to download that guy and extract the zipped folder onto your H drive. So just save it in a folder for this class, week 4, and these are your 3 drawings that are inside. And these are directly from the book. And you don't need to buy a copy of the book. We have a couple at the classroom. But if you, in case you're wondering, it's this book, this AutoCAD Civil 3D Essentials. I have the 2012 book and I believe the 2016 version, and they're pretty much the same. But this is just kind of a shorter version of chapters 12 and 13. And basically, we're going to go through 3 exercises from the book together. All right. So, the first thing we're going to do is open up this creating parcels from objects drawing. All righty. And basically, the first part of this PDF is just kind of for your information. Sites are basically just a location that Civil 3D is defined as a site. A parcel is kind of just a property line, or basically just a shape that is defined as a property. All right, and so it's got its bearings and distances. If you look at a property description, they'll have surveyor data. If they wanted to, they could go back out there and show exactly where the boundaries of the properties are. And if you haven't taken Astrid's surveying class, you will learn more about surveying techniques in her class. All right. So these are the first steps we're going to go through right here. And the first thing we're going to do is open up this creating parcels from objects drawing file. So as soon as you unzip that folder, save it in your H drive, you can go ahead and open Civil 3D up and then open up that file. Week 4, creating parcels from objects. Alrighty. And don't worry about this warning. Basically, it's just an old drawing. So if you have a newer version, it will give you this warning. You don't have to worry about it. Just hit close. And this is the drawing straight from the book. All right. And a lot of the drawings from the book looks very similar to this, but they are stripped down depending on what objectives you're trying to go through. So basically, the objectives we're doing now is that we're going to create a parcel from these existing lines, okay? And what we're going to do is subdivide that big parcel into smaller ones using other existing lines. Alrighty. So first thing we need to do is when you have your drawing open, type in menu bar and then hit enter. And we want to make sure our value is set to 1. And then you'll notice that this other menu bar pops up on the top of your screen. Alrighty. That's a helpful tool to know. So the next thing we're going to do is on that menu bar, we're going to hit parcels and hit create parcel from objects. Alrighty. So the first thing we're going to do is select this outer green polyline here, which is the overall parcel boundary more or less. And the next thing we're going to select is this magenta polyline here. It might be helpful if I scroll in a little more. So we got our, alrighty. We have both of those guys selected, and let's hit enter. And in this window, we are going to leave it as the style basic. And we're going to uncheck this box for erase existing entities. We want those polylines to exist afterwards. If you have this box checked, then those lines will delete themselves. We want to keep them. All right, so just hit OK. And then you'll notice this giant hatch pattern show up. So this hatch is involved in this basic style. If you wanted to modify the basic style to not have a hatch, or to change the hatch, or change the scale or rotation of the hatch, you could modify that style. But for now, we can just leave it. Alrighty. So then if you wanted to, go into Toolspace, Prospector, and expand sites, expand lots, layouts, expand parcels, you'll see this basic parcel listed, okay? So right now in our drawing, we only have one parcel, which is this one. And there's the area. If you wanted to, you could look at its properties. So you can go to the analysis, and this is literally the exact data you would need for a surveyor to go out and define the bearings and distances of these lines to create its shape. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, right? So the next thing we're going to do is select this. You might have to zoom in a bit, but select this red polyline here. It's a really thick one. And then just hit right click and select similar, and it will select all of them. As you can see, we have many of them selected. And we're going to go back up to that same tool, parcels, create parcel from objects. All right, and it should bring us back to this window again. Next thing we're going to do is change the style to property this time, so we can see a little better without that hatch pattern. Okay, and hit OK. And now you'll notice that we have a few different parcels that were created. If we want to see these in our tree over here in Toolspace, you have to right click on parcels and hit refresh. Now you'll see that we have one basic and two property. All right. So we're going to do this one more time in this exercise. This time we're going to select this right-of-way line, this purple dashed line. All right, so right click, select similar. Same thing. We got a bunch of lines selected now. Parcels, create parcel from objects, and leave it as the property style and just hit OK. And now you'll see there are many properties created from those lines. So if you want to see them in the tree, just right click on parcels, refresh, and you should see 7 properties. So the next thing we're going to do is actually we're going to import our template that we have saved that should have our name on it. So in order to do that, you can right click on one of these existing layout tabs and hit from template, and then bounce back to your H drive. Whoop, gotta go back one. This class, template, open. And let's import this first 11 by 17. Alrighty, and then you should see it show up here on the bottom. So as you can tell, it has my name on it. All right, and we want to do the same thing as we always do, right? So double click in here, unlock your viewport, zoom extents so you can see what's going on. There we go. And then we're going to want to set it to a scale that works with an engineer scale. I think 200 worked. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and lock my viewport now. So as you can tell, these scales are kind of ridiculous, right? They're really big. So what we can do is select one of these, right click, go to the edit area selection label style tool. We're actually going to edit the current selection and go to layout. And let's change. Well, one thing actually, instead of changing the style, first of all, I'm just going to select a different style. Let's just change it to name, square foot, and acres. There we go. That looks a little better. You can just do that with all these guys. Select them, name, square foot, and acres. select this guy, change the style to name, square foot, and acres. Name, square foot, and acres. Name, square foot, and acres. So we're not actually changing the property style, just the label style, right? Okay. And the next thing that I would do to clean this up is actually find what layer or station labels are on. I'm actually going to viewport freeze that guy. I'm going to select my station labels, my alignment, viewport freeze that guy. Select these labels. They're on the vNode layer. I'm going to viewport freeze that one too, because we don't really need to see that in this viewport. That looks a little cleaner, don't you think? And then since these labels are on top of each other, I can just select one of them and move its label out. I mean, I can move this one too. All right. There we go. If I really wanted to make this perfect, I can drag these guys out too, just so you can see the property better. All right. So it's got the property, square feet, and acres, which is pretty helpful, I think, right? And there you go. And so make sure you update this guy to say week 4, scale 1 inch equals 200 instead of 20, sheet 1. Add your scale bar, north arrow, right? Scale bar. $200 feet. Yeah, but yeah, you get the idea, right? Scale bar, north arrow. Okay, so that's the first of the 3 assignments from the book we're going to go through. All right. So the next one, I'm just going to hit File, Open. The next one is the drawing called Using Parcel Sizing Parameters. Okay. And this one looks very similar to the one we were just in, right? Except it's a little bit different. Okay. So we've got some properties in here already. So this time, instead of using existing lines, we're going to actually go through the parcel creation tools. So make sure on the Home tab, go to Parcel Creation Tools, and you should see this little window pop up here. So what we want to do is hit this little arrow here to expand to the bottom, and we're going to change this automatic mode to on. Okay. And these are the different ways that you can do it. What we're going to do is use this sideline create. Just hit OK here. And then we're going to select the property label for property 30. This is the property we want to break down into smaller ones. So now it's asking us for the start point on frontage. So basically frontage refers to the side of the property that is facing the road. If you had a side of the property facing a river or a lake, that could be considered frontage too. So what we're going to do is zoom up in here to this endpoint. And we're going to move our cursor down. And as you can see, as you move your cursor, the highlighting changes. All right. And what we want to do is select this endpoint at the bottom in the end of this curve here. All right. Specify ankle, just hit enter. Okay. So these red lines here are basically just a preview based on these settings. All right. And it says, is this how you want to subdivide all these lots? And you're like, nope, not really. I want to change some things in here. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do here is change this minimum area to 14520. 14,520 is the minimum area. And then you can see these red lines modify. Okay. And it says, oh, is this good enough for you? I'm like, nope. I'm going to change some more things. So another thing we're going to change is the minimum frontage. We want at least 100 feet of frontage per property. So as you can see, it made some of them bigger to make sure it had 100 feet of frontage. And this blue line here is actually our frontage offset. So our frontage offset right now is set to 15 feet away from the edge of the property. What we want to do is modify that guy to say 25. And you'll see the blue line bump out another 10 feet, right? So there's one of the other definitions that we are going to modify. We got 2 more to go. This one right here, you see how this lot is really big on the end? Instead of place remainder and last parcel, what we're going to do is hit redistribute remainder. So the extra square footage that you find in this last lot here is going to be distributed equally through the other lots. And there you go. See how that one shrunk and the other ones became bigger? Another setting that you can modify that we're going to go to is this multiple solution preference, and change that to use smallest area. And I'd say that looks pretty good. Those are all the parameters that the book wants us to do. So I'm just going to hit enter to accept the results. All right. And if I close out of that guy, you can see that these properties were created. If you expand sites, lots, parcels, you can see all of our new parcels. Pretty neat. So what we can do is actually keep on doing that same thing with these other properties if we want to add more, right? So I'm going to go back up to parcel creation tools. Same thing, sideline create. Okay, let's start with property 6 here. And I want to start right here at this point of the frontage. And I want to end right there. Enter. I'm just going to leave all the same settings so that the properties are basically the same size. Enter, enter, escape. There we go. See? Pretty neat. Parcel creation tools, sideline create. Okay, same settings. Let's do this one, 25. I'm going to start down here. Loop around. I'm going to end up here by this other property, 28. Enter. Accept result, yes. Same thing again. Parcel creation tools, sideline create. Okay. Select property 7. I'm going to start over here and over here. There we go. All righty. So that's how you can subdivide properties into smaller lots. And what we can do is hit refresh. And let's say you have somebody that wants to buy one of these properties, all right? You want to go send a surveyor out to do some tests and to mark things out where, you know, utilities may be lying underground and stuff. Let's say they're going to buy this property number 71, okay? So you can just go over here, property 71, go to its properties, and look at that. There's its definition, point of beginning. There's its X and Y coordinates, basically. And from there, you got to go 125 feet to the northeast at 67 degrees, 27 minutes, 3 seconds east. Right? Kind of like how we did last semester if you took my class. You got your bearings, your distances. And the surveyor could go out there and stake it out for you and show you exactly where the property is. All right. So isn't that pretty neat? It's all magically updated using Civil 3D. So we want to do the same thing with this drawing. All right. So right click and go to from template. And we want to import our template. So we can print this guy. So template, open, and then we want to select the 11 by 17 layout tab. And you'll see it pop up on the bottom. Same thing as before, we want to double click in our viewport. Unlock the viewport first of all. Hit zoom extents, make her visible. And I'm thinking the same scale is probably going to work. So let's set this guy to 200 and lock the viewport. And as you can see, these property labels are kind of ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this guy, edit area selection label style. I'm actually just going to modify the style so it should change all the labels at the same time. They're referring to the same style. So I'm going to edit the current selection. I'm going to go to the layout. I'm going to change the text height to 0.025. So literally the text will be 1/10 of what it was before. Okay. Okay. Boom. As you can see, the text is a lot smaller. Depending on the size of paper you're trying to print on, this may or may not be visible, but I'm just trying to show you how to modify your styles. If you wanted to, you could change the style to one that is less specific, shows less information. I mean, that's actually what the next exercise is, really. What we're going to do on the next exercise is we're going to create a table, an area table. So instead of each property being labeled with, all their information and it being kind of cluttered, what we're going to do is just refer to all these properties as only their property number. And then you'll have a table on the side that shows, the area, right? Before you print this guy, you want to go ahead and make sure it looks okay. So what I'm going to do is viewport freeze this layer with the alignment so it won't show up. So it looks like it's on the C-Road text layer. So I'm just going to viewport freeze that guy. And I'm actually going to viewport freeze this layer too, the vNode layer. Alrighty. And I don't really care about these little circle things here either. I'm just going to viewport freeze the C-Road layer too. Okay. That looks a little better, don't you think? And of course, you're going to want to add your north arrow scale bar, update your title block, right? You should all know how to do that by now, right? So the third part of the assignment is this other drawing. So open up this other one, creating an area table. Okay. So it looks kind of similar to the one we were just in, but a little different too. It's got a little more blue going on. Okay. So one thing that you may want to do, like for example, you can see this lot number is number 24. Let's say we don't like this one being called number 24. We want this one to be 1. And we want the number to be increasing going this direction. What you can do is select one of your property labels and hit this renumber rename tool. And we want to start at number 1. And we want to check this box here, the use name, template, and parcel style, and hit OK. So now it's asking us, okay, where do you want to start with number 1? And we want to start up here. So just click in that parcel. And you don't have to click in every single parcel. You just got to draw a line through them, basically showing the direction that you want them to be renumbered. So we want to go this way, around this little cul-de-sac, loop it around this way. And end over here, hit enter, enter. And then if you zoom in, you will see that it is now number 1 instead of 24, right? And we'll want to do the same thing on the inside. So you'll see that we ended on number 41, lot number 41. So what we want to do is select one of these ones on the inside, renumber, rename, and see how it remembers where we left off. It's suggesting 42. So we can go ahead and just keep the settings, and we want to just start here at number 68 and renumber them going clockwise this way, ending here, and hit enter, enter, and look at that, number 42. So there you go. That's how you renumber your parcels if you want to. Next thing we're going to do is add our area table. So what you're going to want to do is select one of these parcel labels again, hit this add tables, and these are all the different kinds of tables that you can add. We just want to add an area table. And these are all the different styles you can select. For this example, we just want the area, so just hit area only, and the other information we want to include in our table is not only the area, but the lot number. So you have your reference to your lot numbers that we just renumbered, and we'll show the area, all right? And this is our settings for, the table. And you can just leave those default, just hit OK. And now it's asking you, all right, where do you want to put this table? I'm just going to put it up here. All right. And if you want to see what this would look like on paper, what you can do is change your annotation scale to 200, and that's what it will look like on paper. So then obviously it looks kind of cluttered, so we can move these little tables over a wee bit, make some space. Right. And what we can do here is kind of what we did before is change the text height and the other. First of all, let me not get carried away. Right? So for next step, we need to import our layout tab from our template. So refer back to the H drive, your personalized template, which has your name on it, right? Open 11 by 17, okay. There it is. We want to go inside of our viewport, unlock it, zoom extents, Z enter, E enter. There we go. And then we want to set our scale to around 200, I think works. Just make sure it works with your engineer scale, whatever you set it to. There you go. Now it's starting to look good. And then lock it when you're done playing. So another thing we're going to do is we can modify these styles to show up smaller, right? Another thing that we probably don't need is all of these bearings and distances. So I'm just going to select one of these parcel labels, viewport freeze it. There you go. It looks a little cleaner. We don't really need these alignment labels either. So I'm going to viewport freeze that layer also. The computer catches up to me. Clown. Yeah, you have to be patient. All righty. We don't need this layer on either. See road, you can viewport freeze. Wow. Yeah, these virtual machines are pretty fast. As you can tell, got so much RAM in them. Clown, okay. Nope. All right, that looks a little better. And what we can do, all right. I'm going to want to change this style to be a little smaller. So I'm going to select this label, edit area selection label style, edit current selection, go back in that same dialog box. I'm just going to change this guy to half of its height, so maybe 0.15. There we go. And did you see how it changed this one too? Because those are associated on the same style. But if I want to move this label so it's not on top of my road, what I'm going to do is actually go back in the same window, edit current selection. And instead of the layout, we're going to actually have to change the drag state. Okay, so layout is like if your label is just sitting there on top of something, but the drag state is when you move it and there's a leader pointing with a little arrow. So we need to change that text height to probably be the same at 1.5. Okay. Now if we select this guy and move it, it's now changing to the dragged state label. I'm actually, yeah, that looks all right. I could drag this one out too, I guess, if I wanted. Resource protection area. This guy is on a different style, looks like. So edit area selection label style, edit current selection, drag state, 0.15 if we want them the same. And then move this guy down. Drainage easement. You can do the same thing with this John Smith label here. Layout. Text height. Let's just do 0.0125. And there's a thing, it's called text masking. So for example, you can see these lines behind the text that may or may not print out correctly how you'd want it. So what you can do is you can go back in that same menu and you can add a background mask to the text right here. Change this to true. Okay. And you'll see that there's a background mask that kind of just covers up whatever's behind your text. And one more thing I'm going to do is actually modify these guys to be a little smaller too. So edit current selection. Let's change the text height to 0.1, so half. And then we're going to have to change the circle to be smaller too. So there's your different components, the lot number and the circle. We're going to change this block height to be half, so 0.3. Boom. I'm actually going to turn off this layer too. Don't really need it. So vnode, we can viewport freeze. Come on. There we go. All right. And we may need to move this lot area table up a little bit. Come on. There we go. And then move this guy over and up. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just an example, more or less. But good practice to make it look as best as you can. I mean, in reality, you'd probably want to line all these up that. And maybe a better way to do it is to set your annotation scale to the viewport scale that you want in model space before you even place the table. So then the spacing is correct. All right. And then you can go ahead and add your north arrow, your scale bar, update your title block, right? So you can drag this guy out. Scale bar, 200 feet. Okay. Oh, what just happened? It didn't place. $200. Okay. There we go. I need to move this guy down a wee bit. Alrighty, 200 feet. Make sure to update your title block to say week 5, right? You can print all 3 of these guys off when you're done. And let me just go back to the instructions, make sure we did everything. Area tables. Okay. One more thing, if you wanted to add another column to your property table, what you can do is go in here, go to table properties, I believe. Actually, no. Okay, so these are your different styles. You can go to edit current selection. And this is actually the references that are inside of your table. So you have your lot number, your area, right? Lot number, area, and these are your parcels that are automatically inserted and your areas that are automatically referenced. If you wanted to add another column, you could just hit this plus and add another one. Like for if you wanted to, you know, say property owner or something, or you could just type in owner, right? And there's probably a way to actually import more data about who those owners are from an Excel file. You'd have to play around a little bit more than I do, but that's how you add another column. So if I hit OK, you'll see there's another column, but that kind of screwed everything up for my scaling. I'm just going to undo. There we go. And there's a little bit about the area tables. So make sure and print those 3 guys once you have everything updated down here. Have your north arrow, your scale bar. And the other part of the assignment is this sheet here. And basically these are just helpful terms to know when you're talking about subdividing. And I want you to find a definition for all of these. So a bearing, a right-of-way, frontage, easement, zoning. And these are all different settings that you can modify and when you're automatically creating your parcels using Civil 3D, I want you to kind of summarize what those settings do, more or less. And so if you need references, what you can do, this is straight out of the book. So there's some of your answers directly. And then here's some of the other answers and definitions of what those settings do. So you can use that as a tool to fill this out. But yeah, just get that sheet and those other 3 printed off for me. And I'll make sure and update your grade. If you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. I'm here to help. So, yeah, have a good one.